Strangers on a Train, first requested to me by Ben Vick and directed by Alfred Hitchcock, is a 1951 thriller based on the 1950 novel of the same name. The film follows two strangers who meet on a train and cross paths in the most sinister of ways. A famous tennis player named Guy meets a man on a train who offers to kill his current wife, who he is currently trying to divorce in exchange for Guy killing the man's father. Guy, thinking the man is joking, quickly realizes that there's more to him than meets the eye. As the situation becomes more complex, the two men's lives become interconnected. Alright, so I'm going to be completely upfront here and say that I hadn't heard of Strangers on a Train before I watched it last night. I obviously know who Alfred Hitchcock is, despite this being the first film of his that I've actually seen all the way through. I know I'm going to be crucified in the comments for that, but that's fine. I thought I should be honest. Either way, I gotta say this film, it really, really impressed me. I was impressed with how well it holds up, like 70 years later, and how it rarely, if ever, feels hokey or cheesy or ridiculous like many older films, can tend to when you're viewing them through the lens of 2020. This to me felt like a film that could be made today, aside from the black and white and the aspect ratio, of course, but the story and the performances, the characters, it all works in a way that feels timeless, and it doesn't really matter if you're viewing it in 1951 or 2020. It works because it's well made. That to me is a sign of a great film and a timeless film. This story kept me invested throughout the whole thing because it's paced well, and it consistently adds new layers to what I would call a tense situation that's growing in complexity. The situation becomes more complex because Guy, he crossed paths with a man named Bruno that becomes obsessed with the idea of taking care of each other's murders. And things just kind of spiral out of control from there. The problem with this whole situation is that, the deeper this thing goes, the more culpable each party becomes. And that's constantly making the film feel like the tension is growing consistently. I think this is a really, really well-made thriller that puts you on the edge of your seat pretty much the whole time because you just don't know what's going to happen next. The characters are entirely unpredictable. And all the actors are really strong here, but I think the best two are the two that are put in the positions to shine, and that's Farley Granger, who plays Guy, and Robert Walker, who plays Bruno. Farley Granger plays Guy as sort of a goody-two-shoes type of character, but also a character that has a bit of a darker side to him. When he feels threatened, you see a different side of him, and you see how he'll compromise his ethics and beliefs in order to protect himself and his image. Bruno is the opposite to Guy in many ways. He looks polished and cultured like Guy on the outside, but when he talks to other people, you can tell that there's something off about him, something more sinister. And that may be because of what he shows you along the way, but I think that if you were simply just reading him on a surface level, you'd feel the same way just based on his mannerisms and the way he speaks. I liked how Robert Walker played Bruno because Bruno is the most unpredictable character in this film. And he's smart and conniving, but he's also a great character that serves, as a juxtaposition to Guy, the main protagonist of the film. What I also liked a lot about this film was the music. The music was composed by Dmitry Tiomkin, who I'm hoping I pronounced that name correctly, but either way, he always felt with his music like it was directing the story, like it was guiding the viewer towards the feel and the intent of a scene. There's a wide variety of emotions that, that Strangers on a Train want you to feel over the course of the story, and the music does play a big part in making that happen. There's a lot to like with Strangers on a Train because it does take a simplistic story and turns it into a compelling thriller about the lengths we go to protect ourselves and our image and even our loved ones. The only criticism I have of the film is that it does end too cleanly for me. I felt like it wasn't quite messy enough for the characters considering how complicated things became along the way. That's about as much as I can say about that without spoiling anything, so I'll just leave it at that. But overall, this is a really great film that holds up super well almost 70 years later, and that is super impressive. It's well made, and it definitely made me want to go watch more of Alfred Hitchcock's movies, which I know is considered one of the all-time greats, so I probably need to do that anyway, but this movie just kind of accelerated the process. As for the pros cons, for the pros, I think Strangers on a Train delivers great characters, great acting from the cast, a thrilling and compelling story that's paced well, and excellent music. As for the cons, I'd say the ending felt a little too clean for me, but overall, I'm still going to give Strangers on a Train a 9.5 out of 10 and definitely recommend you check it out. It's a great movie that adults should still be able to enjoy today. It holds up super well. So have you guys seen Strangers on a Train? What did you think of it? And if you haven't, let me know whether you'd be interested in watching it or not. I have plenty more requests coming your way in the near future and a lot of good ones for that matter, so do be on the lookout for those sometime soon. For now though, this is WillFoxification signing off. See you in the next review.